everybody, this is the officially unofficial Geek Channel Collected Edition Tuesdays, hosted by me, Carrie Quinn. As always, I did not do my Sunday video. You were not imagining things. I just had some things going on, and I promise I will be back with the Spoiler-tastic Weekly Comic Review this coming Sunday. Even though it is Easter, I'm going to try to do it a little bit earlier in the day, rather than later. But anyways, we are going to be doing What's Happening Wednesday as usual. And this week on Flashback Friday, I am going to be doing, per the request and desires of my What's Happening Wednesday co-star and boyfriend, Joe. He has asked me to do for Flashback Fridays the first 4 issues of Hardware from Milestone Media. This is the release back in 1993, so I'm gonna do that, and I'm so excited because I've already kind of took a peek. I haven't read it all the way through yet. I took a peek, and I think it's right up my alley, actually. So I'm excited to read that. So, What's Happening Wednesday? That's tomorrow. Flashback Friday, Hardware from Milestone Media, the first 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 issues. But today, we are not here to talk about all that. Today, we are here to talk about Collected Edition Tuesdays. And on this Collected Edition Tuesdays, I have been doing some pretty heavy stuff lately with the Dark Nights Metal, and the Batman Who Laughs Collected Edition. So I needed something a little bit lighter, a little bit soapier, a little bit more fun rather than heavy. And so I had been eyeing for quite some time this collected edition of a webtoon that people kept on trying to convince me to read and that kind of thing. And I looked at it here and there and thought it just looked absolutely beautiful. And then when I saw this collected edition of Volume 1 come out of Lore Olympus, I sat and I kind of was like, man, this is actually really beautiful. It's a really beautiful hardcover, as you can see. Yeah. I sat and kind of mulled over in my brain for a few weeks that purchase, and then finally I was like, okay, I'm giving in to the universe and I am going to purchase Lore Olympus by Rachel Smythe, Volume 1. Volume 2 is going to be coming out, I believe, sometime this late spring, early summer. And believe me, long story short, we're going to get the short story first, and then we'll go into the review. Long story short, I'm into it. I'm going to buy the second volume. I realized I could just read these for free on Webtoon. So before anyone comes at me with that, I'm going to say, you know what, guys? I read a little bit of it on the online version, and to be completely honest with you, I really like it in book form versus the online Webtoon version. I mean, there's certain things that I am going to probably go ahead and look at on Webtoon, considering we just had the recent announcement of 3 new, I believe it's 3 new Webtoon series that are going to be jumping off for DC Comics. One of them includes a Red Hood story. Red Hood and the Outlaws are coming to DC's Webtoons, and so you know how I feel about Red Hood. So yeah, I'm into that. Probably be checking it out. Anyways, back to Rachel Smythe's Lore Olympus. Okay, so let's begin here. This is exactly what I needed it to be. And I'm so excited. But I'm just gonna read the back description to you, and then we'll talk a little bit more about the actual content of the book. So, scandalous gossip, wild parties, and forbidden love. Witness what the gods do after dark in this stylish and contemporary reimagining of one of mythology's best known stories by creator Rachel Smythe. Persephone, a young goddess of spring, is new to Olympus. Her mother Demeter has raised her in the mortal realm, but after Persephone promises to train as a sacred virgin, she's allowed to live in the fast moving, glamorous world of the gods. When her roommate Armistice takes her to a party, her whole life changes. She ends up meeting Hades and feels an immediate spark with the charming yet misunderstood ruler of the underworld. Now Persephone must navigate the confusing politics and relationships that rule Olympus while also figuring out her own place and her own power. This edition of Smythe's original Eisner-nominated webcomic Lore Olympus features a brand new exclusive short story, and believe me, that short story really, kind of accentuates different, very varying parts of the plot throughout the story. But anyways, and brings an exclusive short story and brings the Greek pantheon into the modern age in a sharply perceptive and romantic graphic novel. This volume collects episodes 1 through 25 of the webtoon comic Lore Olympus. And it's gorgeous. Okay, so basically, it is exactly what it says on the label. You have absolutely beautiful and contemporary versions retelling these timeless stories of that mythology involving Persephone and Hades and all that jazz. You have Eros is in this. You have Aphrodite. You have Zeus and Poseidon and Hera, and all of them are interacting here lovely in this. It's exactly what it says it will be. It is a retelling of that mythology. Now, it is told in a easy to read but still intelligent format. Sometimes when you are trying to be easy to read but also fun to read, sometimes you have to take gambles with the content being too rudimentary, and this is not the case with Lore Olympus. It is exactly what it says it should be. I can't even stress that enough. It's basically like, you read the label, you got what you came for, kind of thing. Like, you know what I'm saying? Okay, so one of the things that you do need to know about this, first and foremost, is yes, it is a contemporary retelling of the mythology stories. And yeah, you know what? Here's the thing. The gods of Olympus, the gods of pretty much any mythology, had the capacity to be shitty articles, okay? So you do have the instances where, in particular when you're talking about Eros and Psyche, the story of them, what he does involving that with his mother, Aphrodite, what he does in regards to right in the beginning of the story with Persephone, and the reason why you end up hearing about Psyche and him is because he's trying to explain why and how he let his mother convince him to do something so horrible with Persephone, with basically drugging her and letting her fall asleep letting her fall asleep, pass out, and then putting her in Hades' car It's basically how this goes about. So, um, you do have that, and that's pretty like that is really jerky, and it. I'm going to tell you right now, if that's something that could affect you, here is a trigger warning. You might be a little bit affected by reading parts of Lore Olympus. Um, but if it's not something that is hard for you to read, it is very interesting and well read. Like I said, very intelligent piece of literature. So yes, there are trigger warnings, content warnings here. Um, there's, throughout this piece, um, of varying effects. You do have the, assault, being drugged, being harassed, because like I said, it's a retelling of the stories of mythology. So you get that and all that comes with it. Um, One of the things I absolutely loved about this was the art. Um, and it's like, actually, I did see something I wanted to mention. Okay, you know what I really love about this, kind of tying into what I was just talking about, is I had forgotten until I was kind of looking through this. Rachel Smythe actually does put a content warning in the front of the book, where basically she states this: Lore Olympus regularly deals with the themes of physical and mental abuse, sexual trauma, and toxic relationships. Some of the interactions in this volume may be distressing for some readers. Please exercise discretion and seek out the support of others if you require it. And that is definitely why I am mentioning it. Please, if you need help, please seek out the assistance of others, and be aware when reading things like Lore Olympus. Um, you are not alone if that's you. Um, you are not alone and you are loved. Um, so some of this just are, I'm just trying to find some of my favorite examples. So like when she is in Hades' home and she wakes up and she's kind of like Beauty in the castle, Beauty walking around Beast's castle, and not really sure where she's gonna be, or she is just kind of looking around. She encounters she encounters one of Hades' dogs, um, and Hades, in fact, runs in. Basically, it's Cerebros. Um, Cerebros bus, I believe. I could be pronouncing that incorrectly, and I apologize. But the art is absolutely gorgeous. I'm looking for different examples. This is most of this first part of the book is dealing with them meeting the first time, and how they encounter each other and how they interact with each other. Um, some of the scenery, drawings like this, very watercolor like. Um, and each of the gods that, like here's a really cool one of Armistice and Persephone. Each of the gods, um, are kind of represented by colors. So you have, for example, you have Hera kind of represented in yellows. You have Persephone represented in values of pink. You have Armistice represented in values of purple. You have Hades, which is represented in values of dark blue, and at some points kind of ribbons of red. You have Zeus is represented, each god is represented by a color, and has some kind of connection to that character as a whole, and how everything kind of mirrors together and pairs together. And you can even kind of see it here on the cover, where you have his world is this blue, and you have this beautiful bright pink, is the world that Persephone is from, and how they're basically from two different sides of the coin, you know. This does this volume does end on a little bit of a cliffhanger. So that there's that. It definitely left me, that cliffhanger was like sitting there watching one of those, like I remember when I was a kid and I used to watch like soap operas every day with my mom, and just being like, and you get to the end of the episode and it's like dun dun dun, you know. It was very much like that, and it was one of those things where it's like, if you have been reading a ton of superhero comics, or comics, or stories in general that are very serious, not soapy at all, mysteries, you know, horror or whatever, and you just feel like your brain is kind of on overload, or maybe you are experiencing some overlord from your day job, overload from your day job, and you need something to read to help you unwind, so that you can take in, and you can be taking things in, and you can be reading, and you can be doing that. This is definitely a good book to pick up. I can't express that enough. I really did enjoy it. I really don't have much to say that's negative about this. It's definitely a very good contemporary retelling of the mythology. Um, it basically, it proves that the world of the gods in mythology, being sort of a fable like set of stories, can apply to now. And how would it apply to a contemporary world? So yeah, that's it. Very great review. Giving it a, if I did star reviews, this would have them. Um but I don't. I realized that just now, I don't do that sort of thing. So do I recommend reading this? Yes. If you are someone that does not have the unfortunate experience of having to deal with those triggers, or maybe you're a person that does have the unfortunate experience of having to deal with those triggers, but you've dealt with them enough, like you know, like I have, to be able to still enjoy this without being too upset and triggered, which is me. I did actually very much enjoy this. I was able to separate myself, and I guess maybe it's one of those things where it's like, Rachel Smythe builds such a world that I was able to do that. So that's good. All right. So okay, that's about it for collected edition Tuesdays. Like I said, we've got stuff coming up. We've got What's Happening Wednesdays. We got Flashback Fridays. We've got the return of my weekly spoiler-tastic weekly comic review on Sundays. And you know, whatever else seems to come along, please like, subscribe, comment. Have you read Lore Olympus? What did you think of it? And if you've read Lore Olympus as a webtoon comic and you are up to date Let me know if you think I'm going to enjoy the next volume. Probably going to get it either way, but it's good to know going in if somebody thinks I'm going to enjoy it. But anyways, that's about it for this show. Thank you for joining me this evening. And whenever you happen to be watching this, this has been the officially unofficial Geek Channel Collected Edition Tuesdays review, very good review of Lore Olympus. Thanks, and I'll be seeing you guys.